Welcome to the Attractions Group podcast. We've got a great episode for you today. A fantastic interview with Mr. Matt Eckert from Holiday World, which is clearly where I am right now at the newly acquired Santa's Cottages. David, how's it going?
It is going very well. You know, I always get myself in that. You don't see it on the screen because we had our intro playing in there. But you know, we got kind of a toe tapper for the intro music, and I'll sit back here and do all sorts of stupid things when I know the camera's not on me. But yeah, so tell us a little more about, because a little bit of a foreshadowing of the interview today. What exactly where are you at there?
So yeah, Holiday World, if you have seen, has acquired some lodging. They've acquired Santa's Cottages, which is a family-owned place in Santa Claus, Indiana. I think there's over 30 cabins there, and some of them sleep up to 10 people. So we're talking about some major ability to provide some heads, some beds, I think is what they say. But yeah, I'm very excited. I've got to get out to Santa's Cottages this year and get on good gravy and stay at Santa's Cottages. What a fantastic Santa Claus, Indiana experience that could be.
All right, so we got a great episode planned. We got a great interview coming up with Matt Eckert, President CEO of Holiday World. So let's just get rolling right into the pick six.
So Steel Curtain is opening back up. And frankly, it's been a minute since Steel Curtain has operated successfully. But Kennywood has announced that it will be ready for the operating season here in 2025. Now, will it be ready on opening day? Probably not, is still the expectation. But it is good to hear something from the park that, hey, we're working on it. We're going to get it for you this year. Because I think there were definitely some rumors starting to spread around about, wow, what's the future of this very, very new ride?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I was very fortunate back in the summer of 23 in July to have rode it. And our family went there. I think it was late July. I don't remember. And I happened to comment back to Mark Pauls, who was the general manager at the time. That we enjoyed being at the park and loved the roller coaster. And I think about the time I got around to sending him, the roller coaster had already closed. And but I was very fortunate to have been able to ride it. It was a great ride from start to finish. And I'm very excited to see it reopen, because it is really a roller coaster. Looks like it would be a very simple layout, but it's very complex, and it is just a rush from start to finish.
Yeah, 9
very,
inversions.
very excited to see it reopening. Yes. So now I don't remember. Jar my memory here. Why did it go down? What was the reason that it went down? Was it just a design flaws, or?
Yeah, it was just having a lot of issues operationally staying open. And I think sometimes parks can say, well, okay, let's say it's to the point where we could operate it. We could open it today, right? And we could risk it going down and staying down for most of the day. So we're going to pay staff to be here all day, and maybe the ride's only going to be open for a couple of hours. That doesn't sound like the smartest thing. Let's take some time, give the ride a break, and really fix whatever's causing it to have this much downtime, so that way we can provide a more consistent ride to our guests.
Very excited to see it come back open. Not a fan of the Steelers as a Cincinnati resident, but excited for Steel Curtain to reopen.
Sure thing.
All right, and pick six, number 2. Busch Gardens has announced that they'll be closing one of their oldest remaining rides, the Flying Machine. Now, the Flying Machine in and of itself isn't it's not a thrill ride by any sense. It actually looks like a smaller Troika ride, but it was opened with the park in 1980, and it's about 5 years, I think, after the park officially opened. So it's definitely one of their oldest park attractions. Anytime that you see something of that age and that significance to the start of a park be retired, it's kind of a significant event in the life cycle of the park, and of course, it's not really to counteract that, but the Big Bad Wolf's Revenge will be opening this summer. So, if you're sad to see the flying machine going away, well, you're going to get Big Bad Wolf back.
Yeah, that's good.
Somewhat.
That's good.
Not the same experience as the older one, but they do have a ride that's coming back in.
And if
Were
you
you
want to
ever
go
able to
down
get
that,
there and ride it?
I've never been to Busch Gardens Williamsburg, but I am excited to ride Verbolten one day and get to still experience that drop off the hill and then the turn in front of the lake like the Big Bad Wolf used to have.
I was able to ride Big Bad Wolf, and the one of the things about the old swinging roller coasters, suspended coasters, that most of them, when they in their ride cycle, they had two lift hills, and of course, Big Bad Wolf is no different. And but going down that hill, definitely, I think that was right after the second lift, if I'm not mistaken.
I think
But
that's
yeah,
right. Yeah.
that was a great drop, just a very intense over the pond there. It was just a great element to the ride.
Beautiful swing there too, just to watch it, you
Mhm.
know. Pick six number three. This one is very interesting if you're like a coaster enthusiast. So Tremors, 1999 CCI at Silverwood. They're getting a big refurb on this ride. You know, wooden coasters sometimes can age perfectly. Sometimes they can get a little rough. It's great to see them spending some money and some care on this ride because it just means it's going to last for a long time and provide great experiences for a long time. So excited. Silverwood, located in Idaho, it is kind of known among coaster enthusiasts for being a park that works very closely with RMC, very closely. So I do think it's a little fun to see that Tremors is getting some work done, you know, this great CCI, but this work is not being done by RMC. And of course, not that it would have been you know, an RMC conversion of Tremors. That would have been pretty extreme as far as refurbishment, but it does seem like it's getting a pretty massive overhaul as from what the parks announced and sort of posted on their website. And RMC is, you know, I guess still just a few miles down the road, nowhere to be found near Tremors.
All right. Pick six, number four. The Charlotte Observer has an article that the storm, and the storm, of course, referring to is Hurricane Helene, still having some major impacts in a lot of the area in the parks. By no means supersedes anything that people are suffering from in the Carolinas, but that the Land of Oz in North Carolina is not going to be open for the 2025 season, and apparently there's really no more detail in the article other than that it's just not going to be reopening this season. There's no indication if that's if just a one season or what the long-term preparedness they would have for opening the following season. Unless I followed the article completely incorrect, but the article will be posted. The link will be posted on our social media feeds. But unfortunately, they're hopefully a short term casualty of the hurricane. And that's not to diminish anything that happened with people that live there, but of course, the park will not be opening.
Yeah, I'd love to see them make a great bounce back. It's always, you know, a little bit of a bummer when you see a place that offers good, clean fun like an entertainment center
Mhm.
such as the World of Oz have to close its doors, even if it's temporary.
Okay, now the immersive experience they had there with the Wizard of Oz theming. Now you say good, clean fun. I was terrified by the Wizard of Oz when I was younger. Now that might be good, clean fun to some people, but I would be absolutely terrified of some of the elements I would come into contact with there.
You know what? That's fair. I think I watched The Wizard of Oz when I was young, and I was scared of tornadoes for like the next 5 years.
And so they had flying
Speaking,
monkeys.
yeah, okay, yeah, you're right, and the wizard themselves. I mean, that's the wizard's kind of scary too, you know. If you haven't seen it yet, Rapterra is opening up at King's Dominion. It is a
Mhm.
like I don't know why this is the first thing that's coming to my mind, but it is a beautiful ride. It's got this green track. It's a B&M wing coaster. It's going to be super exciting. This park, it's opening up so soon. Today, Wednesday, the 19th of March, this weekend, 1 week from this weekend, 1 week from this Saturday, Kings Dominion will be opening up.
Hmm.
One of the first parks we're seeing open up. I think it's also incredibly exciting to see, what these parks are going to be like with Carowinds opening up last week and Kings Dominion opening up this week and Kings Island opening up here in, not too long. This is the first time they're going to be operating as part of the new Six Flags Cedar Fair chain. So, aside from Rapterra, I think it's pretty cool to see, little changes that you might notice going to some of your favorite parks because they're a whole new venture now.
Yeah, it is very nice this time of year, especially we're past that magical date of March 15th. For my money, when you live in Cincinnati or Ohio or even the Midwest, the period between February 15th and March 15th are the worst times to live in the North. Not the North, then the Midwest. Because basically you can from that period anytime before February 15th, it's just cold and snowy. And then during that period, you might have 60 one day, and then you have 20 the next day, then 70 the next day, and then 50 the next day. But right now we're past that, and it seems like every other week another park is. We keep going north, further north. Every other week another park is opening, and King's Dominion is they're right. Their time's coming up next week, and for what it's worth, the weather-wise, we are past that magical date in the calendar. It's 70 degrees in Cincinnati today, but by Thursday morning, it's going to be snowing. That's just
Perfect.
it's the axiom of living in Cincinnati. But yeah, so hopefully every other week we're going to have another park to talk about how their opening is going, which is a great time of the year. So pick six, number six. Disney Vacation Club has long been talking about they're going to be having a lounge open up in the Magic Kingdom Park in Florida. Now they already have one in Epcot and they have one at Disney Springs, but this is always a project that people knew were coming. They weren't silent about that, but it was going to be opening in summer 2025. I'm checking the news feeds this morning and it opened this morning. I would say open to the public, but open to DVC members this morning. And I've seen the pictures, and it's incredible. The It's opening in the Frontierland area, and as you can imagine, it is themed to the Frontierland area. But haven't been to Magic Kingdom for a couple uh, since December. But I guarantee you, we head down to Magic Kingdom, we'll be making a stop in there because it looks incredible. And no idea it was opening.
Yeah, me neither. McKim's Mile House, I believe it is called. So
Yes, you're
it's
correct.
a cool name. It's got like a lodge kind of feel. It looks super awesome.
It
And
does.
yeah, cool surprise.
Now, something I got as the past couple years being able to participate on various projects within Disney it didn't work for them and didn't have a lead on any of the projects, but having participated in a few of them, the level of just silence that is required to work on some of those projects. Now, everything about the DVC lounge, and I had nothing to do with that project whatsoever, with anything, but other than knowing that it was going to open up in Magic Kingdom in summer 2025, that's the only detail, to my knowledge, that was ever out there. Nothing about the theming of it, nothing about what the inside would look like, no leaked out pictures of the inside, no leaked out pictures of what the outside looked like. Just the level of secrecy that they are able to maintain for anything they do forward is great
You might
and
call it
incredible.
magic.
That you might call it magic, but also with phones going into people's pockets and slipping out and taking pic, it's just a wonder that they're able to maintain that. It's almost like they exist in the days before phones.
You've heard me say it before, but I'm a cast member at the Walt Disney World. I'm a cast member at the Magic Kingdom. I'm not speaking on behalf of the company in any way with this announcement or anything like that, but I do agree with you, David, 100%. It is amazing how, I work at the park. I've been in the Utilidor a bunch, but I mean, you hear about it, there's a tunnel underneath the parks and stuff, but like, everything is a well-kept secret at Disney, and for good reason. It's magic. That's just
Mhm.
the answer I'm sticking with anyway.
All right, we got a very special guest today. I'm very excited to have him on. He has been a guest with Ryan and Don previously, and he's been very gracious to come back to us here. He is now. Get this: if you looked at his LinkedIn profile, sometimes LinkedIn profiles doesn't have everything on there; it just has the relevant pieces of someone's professional career. But since about 2000, guess how many companies he's worked for?
6.
One. He has
Whoa.
been with Holiday World for 25 years, and he is now president and CEO of the company. And we are very excited to have him on today. Welcome to the podcast, Matt Eckert.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
We are glad to have you.
We're so
Yeah,
glad to have
when
you.
you say that I've been here
Yeah,
25
absolutely.
years, it
You
makes me
having a
seem
good
like
day
I'm
today?
so old, and I don't look it, right? Like, how can you be there that long? No, yeah,
I,
25 years. Been very blessed.
now, see, you say
That's incredible.
something about you feel that old, but now as I looked at the LinkedIn profile, I believe you have about this. We entered college about the same time, so you and I are about the same age. But I think I got a little more gray in my hair than you do.
Well,
Maybe your job isn't that stressful. I don't know.
maybe not. Again, I think I got pretty blessed. My dad lived to be 85, and he had very few gray hairs at 85. So I'm hoping that I kind of follow that path, but we'll see. What happens, it happens. It's fine.
That's incredible. Well, if you don't mind, I'm a very excited theme park fan. I've got a million things running through my head right now because if you can see where I am, I'm
Right.
actually at Santa's Cottages right now, which is a very topical, very relevant part of the holiday world brand at this moment. So when you are holiday world and you're innovating and you're doing new things, you're celebrating 10 years of Thunderbird, all these wonderful things. How do you go about trying to innovate as a park, add new things, but balance that with preserving what the park is, its brand, what it's known for, and kind of having a little bit of guest service in the way you keep your classics too. How do you find
Sure.
that balance?
It's a very fine balance to master, quite honestly. And you know very well you're a lover of the industry, so you know that we need to really make sure that we're staying up to speed on the latest and greatest things our guests have come to expect. The newest or the biggest or the tallest or the fastest. They want that superlative, and so do we. We want to be a trendsetter. And if you look at some of the things that we've done over the past several, gosh, 20 years, we've done some pretty crazy off the wall things, which I love. But at the same time, we've been open since 1946, so we're closing in our 80th year of being a family owned business. So I think that the key word there is family owned. We're all about families. That's who our brand is all about, and it's very important that we maintain. We're no longer this little small park that started out as Santa Claus Land in 1946. We've grown into a very large park, but it's important to me that although we're a large park, I want to make sure we maintain that small park feel, and we do that. I think a couple of ways. Obviously, the number one is through our team members, our employees here. I think we're very blessed in the sense that we have that inborn Southern Indiana hospitality that I think is just part of our culture and part of who we are, and we've really tapped into that, and that's definitely part of our brand. But at the same time, we really try to preserve the things in the park that can be preserved that bring back so many memories. When families come in, years ago we had to retire the Freedom Train, which was the first ride at Santa Claus Land, because it just wouldn't operate anymore. But we said, you know what, we're not getting rid of it. So many families have had their pictures taken on this train with this train. There's so many memories tied to it. We had to preserve and put out in front of our Liberty Bell so that when families come, they can take a picture of that with their grandkids and tell them the story about how they came with their grandparents. And we want to make sure we maintain that nostalgia and that feel. So when people come into the park, they feel like they're home. They're coming back home and they feel like all of this is very personal to them. But yet we want to introduce something new to them too. So it's like, yes, we're still who we are, but hey, look what else we got now. Like, let's show them something else. So let's show them the new toy that we bought for them, basically.
That's so incredible. And
But
the reason that I jumped right in with that question was exactly that. I think I've been to a lot of parks, and I don't think I've ever been to a park that does that as well as Holiday World. It
Thank you.
feels exactly like you're saying, like a small family park, but it's not. It's a massive entertainment center with so much to do. You could easily spend 3 days there, but somehow it still feels like
Mhm.
a tight knit little place you go with your family. It's a unique atmosphere that I love.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Now, you did bring up something interesting in the answer that early on, because you made mention that it's a challenge to remain just keeping things updated and innovative. Because if you were to look at your hand and kind of position where the park is, you're very well situated between a bunch of different population centers: Louisville, Cincinnati, Nashville, St. Louis, and Indianapolis. But you're also very well situated in between a bunch of parks. You have Kings Island to the east, you have Indiana Beach to the north, Kentucky Kingdom to the south, and then you have a couple unrelated to the attractions industry attractions such as the national parks around there. But how does Holiday World continually differentiate itself as a destination for family and thrill seekers?
Absolutely, and I reiterate that I think a good part of that is our people and the hospitality that we show, and that's very important to us. If we talk about our hospitality, we kind of have some things that we ingrain in our team. Look at me, talk to me, smile at me, thank me. Those are 4 things that every employee should always do with every guest that they interact with. So I would say that's the number one. I think the biggest differentiator for us, though, is probably, again, our focus is on families. Our focus is on that is our brand. And so one of the things that's very important to us from a family standpoint is value. We want to make sure that we're providing a great value for the families that come to our park. And when I say that, pay one gate price to get in. You get both parks for one price. We don't charge for parking. We don't charge for soft drinks. We don't charge for sunscreen. We don't charge anymore for season passes for pre-K kids. So you start looking at, okay, this is free and this is free and this is free and this is free. That's a good word for families to hear, especially in today's economy right now.
Mm-hmm.
With everything that's going on in our economy right now, people are more and more concerned about money, and people are more and more concerned about, okay, am I going to be able to travel? Am I going to be able to take my family on that Disney trip this year? Maybe not. This might not be the year. And again, not shaming Disney. We go there twice a year myself. We're diehard Disney fans, but staying more regional, we think, is probably going to be more common in the next year or two, and we continue to be committed to providing that value. There's nothing worse than go to a park and the first thing you have to do is pay $30 before you even get in the gates. That kind of sets the tone, I think, a little bit for
Mm-hmm.
the entire day. So we want mom and dad or grandma and grandpa who are coming in the gates with their kids to not constantly feel like they're reaching in their pocket to pull out a dollar bill. Like, we want to make sure that they feel like they're coming home. They're there to enjoy a day. They're there to make memories, and they don't have to worry about anything else. So I think that's one thing that I think really differentiates us is the value that we offer.
Now, and that's something that probably one of the best kept secrets of anyone who would come to Holiday World, that if they don't have that specifically or they don't look at it on the website. Because I remember when we went there, a number of different things just kept popping up. Wait a minute, what do you mean it doesn't cost to park? Wait a minute, the soft drink is free? I mean, honestly, it's one of the best kept secrets to anyone who, unless you go out there and specifically looking for that information. I don't know that I've ever gone to a park website and specifically looked up what the cost was to park or the cost for a soft drink. But
Right.
definitely, it's one of those where you get there, it almost seems like a throwback.
Right. Exactly. And like you said, it's kind of unreal for a lot of guests. With the free soft drinks, they'll come in, and we have oases throughout the park where people can just pop in and grab a drink. But then they'll go
Mhm.
to a restaurant and they'll be like, okay, but we have to pay for our drinks here, right? We're like, no, drinks are free everywhere. Like, you don't have to pay for drinks. So committing them to that thought, it has been a challenge for us over the years, but it's something that I do think people really embrace. And in my mind, we've got some pretty awesome hardware here at the park. We got some very amazing
Yes.
rides. I still think that going and starting the unlimited soft drink program, even though I told our president at the time I thought it was the dumbest idea ever, I go back on that now and say that was the smartest idea ever. I've never been so happy to be wrong. I think that is the most brilliant thing that we have ever done here at this park. That's something we will never go back on.
Yeah,
That's
when you
awesome
talk
to
about
hear.
just your impressive hardware, Thunderbird is a winged coaster. Taking off out of the station, that's one of the best. That's
Right.
probably one of the best winged coaster experiences. I think I've ridden 3, and of the 3, including Gatekeeper up in Cedar Point, just that just launch out of the station, that's incredible. Go
As I
ahead.
said, that was something that when we were we knew we wanted a steel coaster. We looked at different kinds. We kind of landed on a wing coaster. We decided we wanted to go with B&M. And so we knew, though, also that we didn't want it to be just your standard cookie cutter ride. We wanted to make it unique. And we're able to do that, too, I think, with the topography of our land. Like we can take our coasters out into the woods. They can take them through the trees. And there's so many near miss elements with the wing coaster. But we were working with B&M, and we were talking about, like, okay, well, how can we make this different? What can we do? Was talking with them, and I said, how about could we launch them out of the station? Could we take them straight in, take them upside down right away? And they sat there for what felt like a day thinking about it, and finally the response was, yeah, we can do that. And so that's kind of how Thunderbird was born. And it truly is a fantastic ride, and it's just a great experience for those who love steel coasters, and love something different. That's what we got.
Now, speaking of
So
experiences,
go
with
ahead.
Good Gravy, now I haven't been there since it's been installed, but I've definitely seen the pictures of the line queue. That's just an incredible experience going in there. The experience of going through the line. I mean, as an adult, the roller coasters, it's a must do, but it's not something I'll go back and ride again and again and again. But the line queue is just amazing. The level of theming and just immersing yourself in that environment is unheard of in a what is basically a seasonal park. It's not a year-round park that draws people 365 days a year. So for that level of theming and that amount of immersion is just incredible for a park.
I love you. I love you say that. You use the word that I use all the time with that. I tell people all the time that Good Gravy is not just a ride; it is an experience from
It
start to
is,
finish.
and I can't wait to go there to experience it.
Yeah, and so I have families that are out in the plaza, and they're like, "Yeah, we don't ride coasters. We don't do that." I'm like, "That's fine. Go through the queue. Go through Grandma's house, and the ride ops will let you out. You don't have to ride the ride, but go through the queue. It's an experience." And time after time after time, they do that, and they're like, "Oh wow, that was incredible." So yeah, our team, and we can talk a little bit more in depth about that, but our team did truly a fantastic job with that attraction.
And I probably ruined it for myself because I hope to make it to the park this summer, but I've seen so many pictures and people did walkthroughs on it. I've kind of ruined this surprise for myself, but it's definitely I can't wait to experience it.
So let's go down that path a little, if you don't mind, talking about all the newness that Holiday World has been providing to fans, especially recently. What does it look like? You walked us through a little bit with Thunderbird, but a little, more generally, maybe with Good Gravy. You say, okay, we want to add a new attraction in. Where do things start? Where do the questions start getting asked? And on top of that, how do you get the information from the guests, the visitors, about maybe what they would want to see Holiday World add? Like, what are the channels of communication, and how do you take that into account when making the decision on what your new attraction might be?
Sure. Good Gravy is a great example, and we can dive into that a little bit more. But from a what do we do to come up with what we want to go for? We do listen to our guests. We listen to our guest feedback, and the channels, obviously, that we receive that feedback has changed dramatically over the past 10 years. There's so many social media platforms that we interact with our guests on. So we get emails, obviously. We get, every Facebook comment that comes in. We read every single Facebook comment, every Instagram comment, I think we're on TikTok now. Maybe I'm not sure, but I think we're on TikTok. But we pay attention to every single thing our guests say, and we respond to every email that we get. In addition, just talking to the guests out in the park, I'll randomly walk up to a guest and say, "Hey, how's your day? What's something we could do better? What's something we don't have that you would like to see us have?" And guests are usually pretty honest, and I appreciate that. So one thing we found with good gravy is it's kind of twofold. We put that coaster where Pilgrim's Plunge used to be. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but Pilgrim's Plunge had been down for. We took that down probably 10 years ago, and I've got asked every single year, like, when are you going to put something here? When are you going to build something here? And my response was always, we're not going to build something until we know it's the exact right thing. We're not going to build something unless we can staff it. Staffing has always been an issue for it. We got to fix that problem, and we did. So then it's like, okay, we've got the staffing problem fixed. What goes here? And we've heard from guests, over the years many times of, okay, we have the Howler up in Hollow Spun Town for small children as a coaster, and then we have the Raven, which is the least building of our wooden coasters, but for a smaller child who's not a super coaster fan, it's a little daunting. So it's like, okay, we need something that's in between. Like, we need an in-betweener coaster. And our guests were telling us that. They wanted something that their 6-7-year-old was ready to ride. They weren't ready to ride Raven, but they wanted something to kind of get them prepared to ride the next step up. So we met with Vekoma at IAPA, and we looked at this family boomerang. We're like, okay, this is the perfect ride. The Pilgrim Plunge footprint is the perfect place to put it. Now, how do we theme this around Thanksgiving? Like, what are we going to do? Thanksgiving is not the easiest holiday to theme, and we've taken up a lot of the good names already. We got the Mayflower, we got the Voyage, we got Gobbler Getaway, we got Turkey Whirl, we got Thunderbird, which is a unique tie to Thanksgiving, but it does tie, I promise. So we just got to thinking, okay, so every project that we do, we give it a project name. So the project name for Good Gravy was Project Gravy Boat. Like, that's what we call it, a Project Gravy Boat. So as we were talking through, we're like, okay, Project Gravy Boat. What if could we do the trains shaped like gravy boats? And so we went to Vekoma, and they're like, they said basically that's weird in a very nice way, but they loved it. Like, that is like a really cool concept. We knew that, okay, this is quirky, this is odd. Let's jump into it. Like, let's embrace how quirky and silly it is, because we can do that. We can get away with that. So we got these gravy themed coasters. So now we're like, okay, well, what are we going to call this attraction? And we started talking about what we wanted the theming to be. Again, diving straight into just being silly. We're like, you know what? Thanksgiving is all about going to your grandma's house. That's what you think about. That's what families think about. They think about going to grandma's house for dinner. Let's turn the station into grandma's house. Like, you're going to grandma's house. And so then we started saying, okay, well, how do we lay out the inside of this house? Well, let's think back to like the 1950s and 1960s. Let's go retro, and let's design each room as a throwback, so that when families are walking through this, they're going to say, oh my gosh, that was at my mom's house. And, oh my gosh, I saw this at grandma's. And I personally, the first time I walked in and went to the kitchen, walked in the kitchen, and I was with Lauren Crosby, who's one of our owners. She's also our director of theming. And I walked in the kitchen, and I went, oh my God, that kitchen countertop is the same ugly kitchen countertop my grandma had. And she's like, no. She's like, no, we're not using the word ugly. We're using the words perfectly tacky. I'm like, that's it. It's perfectly tacky. And so there's so many throwbacks as you go through this. And so, okay, so now we've got the theming. What are we going to name this coaster? Like, what's the name of this coaster going to be? And, we were all sitting around the table, and we were like pitching ideas. And I honestly can't remember who said it, but somebody just kind of went, oh, Good Gravy. I'm like, that's it. That is it. That is it. Like, let's go with it. And then we're all sitting there like, okay, that's kind of nutty. And we're all like, let's do it. Like, let's go with it. And so we did. And so that's kind of how the whole Good Gravy concept was come to life. And then we said, okay, well, let's look at the plaza. And we started having all these oversized, like an oversized whisk and an oversized rolling pin. So as the coaster goes around through these, they're whipping by those. And the whole premise is we're trying to help Grandma Gracie find her gravy. And we're taking you on a tour to go find that gravy. And it turned out better than I could have ever possibly imagined. Our marketing team did such a good job. I don't know if you saw our promo video that we put together. It went viral, like crazy viral. We had over 1 billion social media hits on Good Gravy. Yeah, exactly. This little park
with a B,
Indiana, got 1 billion social media hits, and we were on news stations all the way out in the state of Washington. Okay, people from the state of Washington probably aren't going to come to the park, but they were talking about us. You know, we were being talked about. And for me, like, we got more traction out of this family boomerang coaster, which is, again, great ride, but it's not unusual. It's not an unusual family boomerang. It's a fairly standard one, but we put our own twist on it, and we made it our own, and we made it kind of special and unique that it just got so much attention. So our marketing communications team knocked it out of the park. They really did. So that's kind of
I love the story.
that was born and kind of came to life.
So if you don't mind the question, to dovetail on that, when did the first discussions of that, if you could figure out a date, month and year, what was the first time that you discussed that, hey, how about this?
Yeah, so we met with Vekoma in 2022 at IAPA.
Okay.
So again, we were just kind of, hadn't fully decided what we wanted to put there. We knew we wanted to put something. We knew we wanted to get a Vekoma. Vekoma is a fantastic company. Can't say enough about Vekoma. Again, process-wise, start to finish to now, even support, top-notch, total top-notch. So we knew we wanted to get a Vekoma in the park. So we went to their booth and got to talking to them. And so it was about two years, I guess, was kind of the process to start to finish.
And then dozens and dozens of meetings keep asking the question of what if. Now, can you think in your mind how different the project turned out from where it started? Or is it pretty much the same?
It's pretty much the same. Again, it was an evolution. We kind of don't go into our meetings with a very firm idea of what exactly we want. We have kind of a general feel. So we knew we wanted a family coaster. We knew it was going to be themed Thanksgiving. That's kind of how we started. We kind of start with a blank slate. And one thing I love about Holiday World and I love about being in a family-owned business is we make a lot of decisions around the table. Like, we don't have to run it up a flagpole and have it go through this level and this level and this level. A lot of our decisions come just from brainstorming, sitting around talking, and just kind of, what do we think our guests would love? What do we think our team members would enjoy running? Like, how do we make this our own? And I think that's one thing that we do very well. And we have that ability to be able to do that, to make those decisions as a group and do what we think is best for our guests.
When did you find out, if you remember, that Kings Island would be adding in Snoopy Slowfox Racers of Vekoma Family Boomerang the same year that you were adding in Good Gravy? Was there
pretty soon?
Okay.
Yeah, we found out very, very early on that they were doing one as well. So, but again,
yeah, they really are so different, though.
They are so different, and again, exactly. For us, it was like, okay, well, we're not going to put the brakes on. We're still going to do what we want to do. We're still going to do it the way that we want to do it, and we knew that it would be different. It wouldn't be the same because it's an experience. It's not just a family boomerang coaster. Like, let's create a holistic experience the entire family will enjoy. So even if your 89-year-old grandma doesn't want to ride a coaster, she's going to like going through the grandma's house. She's going to like going through there, and it's going to bring back memories for her too. And we did have some 80-year-olds ride the coaster too, so I'm not counting you 80-year-olds out, but we just want to make sure that it to every age demographic and every family, and because we weren't focused on let's be better than them, let's do let's try to beat them. That wasn't it at all. Like, the other thing I love about our industry too is I get asked the question all the time, like, who are your competitors? Like, who are you competing against? And my response is always, we're not competing against other parks. Like, we're all trying to do the same thing. Like, we're all together. And I talk to other parks on a daily basis. Actually, just got off the phone right before this call with another park, and we were swapping some ideas. And that's just what we do. And I say our biggest challenge, our biggest competitor now is time. Trying to get families to find time to do something recreational. And that might not be coming to Holiday World. That could be spending the day at the beach. That could be spending the day at a museum. That could be spending a day going shopping. Families only have a limited amount of time because kids now have soccer camps and baseball camps and church camps, and they're limited on when they can do something fun. So we're competing for that time. We're trying to get that day.
Well, since you brought up time, uh, Holiday World did announce that the 2025 season will be their longest in park history. And when you look and see, and I don't know what the number of this is, but how does the 2025 season, first of all, what went into that decision, but also how does that compare to what the park operating days were, say, a decade ago?
Sure.
And what are your expectations for the addition of these days?
So if you look at us a decade ago, so let's take us back to 2014. That was the year that we started expanding our calendar a little bit. Then that's when we added our Happy Halloween weekends. So prior to that, we were only open through mid-September. But we said, you know what, we have more to offer. Like we have our Indiana Falls typically are very, very nice. Like let's start doing a Halloween event. So we expanded it at that point. So we started adding days then. Fast forward to now. If I go back 3 years ago when we were having some staffing issues, obviously staying open later and our hours being kind of curt a little bit, we had to kind of pull back because we just didn't have the staff that could stay that long and work that late. However, we then started a Bridge USA program back in 2023, and that totally expanded our workforce. And so we now had a lot of J1s here. So this year, typically we are closed after the first week of August because kids here go back to school. So we lose all of our team members. However, we had our Bridge USA folks still here. They were still here. And we were sitting around talking. It's like, you know what? We have to give them 40 hours. Like we promised them 40 hours of work regardless. Let's open up the park. Like, let's just open up the park. Like, let's be open. And if we break even, we break even, but we're doing the same thing. So we did. We opened up that week and we found out that a lot of Illinois schools don't start back to school yet. So we got a lot of Illinois visitation that week, and it was a really, really good year for us. Beyond that, we're again constantly thinking of what are some new events we can do? What are some things that we can do for our guests that is above and beyond what they've had in the past? And we started talking about having a Friday night event. Like, let's start. We're not open on Fridays in August, September, and October. Let's try Friday nights. But how do we make that different? Like, we don't want that to be just later hours. So we called it Friday Night Live. We brought in 2 live bands. We brought in some different foods and some different types of beverages, and people were getting their night rides on the coasters. And again, when we did it, I said, let's just do it on trial run. Let's do it in August, see how it goes. If it doesn't do well, then we tried it. We got to take those kinds of risks. And it went better than we could have ever possibly hoped. We were hoping to get at least 1,000 people. We were getting 2,000 to 3,000 every Friday night. So we, the way that we had planned it out, so then we're like, okay, well, let's go ahead and do it in October again, see how that goes. Again, fantastic. So when we set our calendar this year, it's like, okay, well, last year went so well. Let's add on that extra week in August. Let's go ahead and add Friday Night Lives for the next 3, August, September, and October. And let's try opening the first weekend of November. Let's see what happens there. So that kind of tiptoes a little bit. We're tiptoeing a little closer to that one holiday that we all love and haven't been able to do for a lot of different reasons. But it's kind of tiptoeing in that direction to see, okay, let's test the waters here. Let's see what we can do. So that's kind of been the evolution of our calendar growth, and hopefully it will continue to do so.
I'm going to stop you right there because I was going to bring this up in a little bit later, but since you kind of cracked that door open, I'll barge right through. And I'm sure you get asked this all the time, and you're probably asked this in the last time you're on the podcast with Ryan and Don. But okay, the name of the park, Holiday World. You are in what community?
Santa Claus, Indiana.
How's that you don't have a Christmas themed event?
So you left off that we started out as Santa Claus Land in 1946.
I did. Sorry.
And you left off that Christmas is the holiday that's probably our flagship holiday in the park.
So you're adding more stuff on yourself. Okay, I like that. Go ahead.
I do, and I am. And I do get asked that question repeatedly, and I ask myself that question repeatedly. So the answer to that is we're still trying to figure out a way to make that work. Up through now, our limitations have been one, staffing. Finding enough staff. We're in a very rural area, so yes, we are in Santa Claus. We're a town of 2,500 people, so we already have to send buses out to pick up employees. We have 7 buses. We bus employees in from a 1-hour radius of the park just to supplement what we have, plus our Bridge USA. So staffing is an issue. We're in Indiana, so the weather here is highly unpredictable. We've had Christmases where my kids have been in shorts. We've had Christmases where my kids have had on 14 layers of clothing. So you never know from a weather standpoint what you're going to get. So one, that there could be travel limitations for guests to be able to even make it here. We're not going to be able to run some attractions if it's too cold. So you have to kind of come up with enough offerings for it to make sense for a guest to want to come during that time period. I think another thing that would help us is just more development of the town itself and getting more destinations besides Holiday World, so that if a guest does come down, we're gonna have a lot of different things to do. So it's not something I will say, David, it's not something I will commit to never doing. It's something I will commit to. We'll always explore ways that we can make it happen. So we're trying.
Has the park ever come close to offering one before?
Yeah, so actually we were open for a Christmas event just before my time. So I've been here for 25 years. I would say probably 30, 35 years ago, they did do a Christmas event. We had some, again, I referenced our topography. We have a lot of hills here in the park, which is awesome, unless you're walking up them at night after a long day. It's kind of tiring. But we made a ski slope. So we actually had fake snow here as well. So it didn't work out. It didn't go well. And when I say it didn't go well, the attendance just wasn't that great. It was primarily locals coming, so we weren't attracting guests in to visit the park. But what didn't work 30 years ago may work 30 years later. So we've got to constantly be looking at what do our guests want now? Like what's the environment look like that our guests are seeking? And it could happen. We're not saying no. I can say it's not happening this year or next.
So when you make a move, whether it be to expand your operating calendar, whether it be to purchase some new cabins, whether it be to add in a new attraction, a water park expansion, which Holiday World does very well, how do you measure the successfulness of that addition, of that change?
So that measurement can come in a lot of different ways. Obviously, increase in attendance is one way that you can measure that something went the way that you hoped it did. We send out surveys to every guest that purchases a ticket online to get feedback from them on why they one chose to came, what was the best thing about their day, and just trying to get as much feedback as we possibly can. So for me, the biggest form of feedback of success is our guests being happy with what we did, and reading those positive comments on all the social media platforms. And then we measure what's called NPS. It's our Net Promoter Score. So most parks do this, but that's a good measurement of customer satisfaction, because it basically asks the question of, will you recommend our park to another person? And by getting a high NPS score, that indicates that one, they're going to come back. Two, that's going to increase future visitation from people who have never been. And our Net Promoter Score this past year was the highest it has ever been. It was in the upper 60s, which is excellent for an NPS score in our industry. So for me, I think that's one of the true metrics that we look at of what is bringing our success, and looking at our advanced ticket sales for the upcoming year, advanced season pass purchases, and those numbers continue to rise. So we see that we're doing something right, because people are coming back.
Now, when you bring up the Santa's cottages that were just purchased or acquired by the park, is this an indication of a broader move by the park to move into the hospitality space? And are there any immediate changes that guests can expect? And how did that all come about?
Right. So the way that it came about was Santa's Cottages was a family-owned organization as well, and they've taken fantastic care of it. It's grown so much over the past 8-10 years. I called them back in 2023 and said, "Hey, if you guys are ever interested in selling, let us know. I'd like to talk to you. They called me back the very next day and said, okay, we're interested in selling. I'm like, well, I was just checking to see if you're interested. Like, okay.
He's kicking tires.
Those conversations started back in 2023. Some family events on their side happened that prompted them to want to go ahead and sell. And so we got into more serious conversations in 2024. And that's when we made the decision to go forward with Santa's Cottages. Back up, hospitality, lodging is something that is very much needed in our area. We need more lodging in and around Santa Claus. So we've done, and we know this, and this is something we wanted to kind of start tiptoeing into. And we've done feasibility studies on building hotels. We've talked to local hotels and looked at possible acquisitions. But again, just like putting in good gravy where we put good gravy in, it had to feel right. It had to be what made sense for us and what fit our brand. Santa's Cottages being a family-owned organization for as many years as it was, and being well-maintained and well taken care of, similar to how we take care of the park, seemed like a good fit for us. It's an established business. We like the cottage concept. It's something we can walk right into and just take management of, and that's what we did, and that's what we're doing. So this year there's not going to be any major changes to the product itself. Again, I don't see any need for any major changes because they're very, very nice cabins. We have 39 units total, but there's a lot of property there. So our plan is definitely to grow. Our plan is definitely to add more cottages. We can add quite a few more cottages, actually. And that was one of the things that kind of was another motivator for us, is we want to buy something that we can expand. We want to buy something that we can continue to grow. That's a luxury we have here at Holiday World, and I credit our founders so many years ago, is they bought a ton of land. So we can continue to grow the park. We have about another 90 acres here that we can develop, which is a benefit that a lot of parks don't have. They're landlocked, and to get something new, they have to take something out to put something in. We don't have to do that. We can continue to expand and grow, and that's something that's important to us, is to always have that ability to know that we're not constrained, and we can do more than what we even dream of.
I think Cottages, as a kind of first venture into lodging for Holiday World, is so perfect, because looking through the website, they have these 1-bedroom units, kind of smaller, but then there are some of them. I think the 2-bedroom loft sleeps up to 9, like multiple queen beds for a big family that wants to travel together and come on in. That is, in many ways, better than what most hotels could offer. So
Right.
I think that's right on brand for Holiday World.
I agree, and it has a pool over there as well. So we have a pool that we will have guarded for families to use when they're not here at the park. There's a very, very large playground, so there's a lot of, and we'll have activities and stuff for families to do as well. But obviously, not probably 90+% of the guests there come to Holiday World. So again, it just kind of made sense and just kind of married with our brand very, very well, and it's something that we felt comfortable putting our name on.
I love that. I love that. So let's talk about the future a little bit. Next 5 to 10 years, you are looking forward. What are the shifts you kind of see in the broader entertainment industry as a whole, and the ways in which Holiday World plans to kind of look at the future and attack those next 5, maybe 10 years?
Sure, that's a great question, and we're in a very dynamic industry, obviously, and we have a 5 to 10 year plan in place, and we always have. But you never know what curveball is going to be thrown at you. I look back to 2019. We had our 5-10 year plan, and then guess what happened in 2020? That knocked the entire industry on our rear ends and made us sit back and say, okay, well, what we plan to do in 22, we're not going to have to shift that probably to 25. And so we kind of had to do a rearranging of sequencing of what our plans are. I think it's very important, for our industry to, again, be mindful of the thing that I feel differentiates us, is be very mindful of value, and be very mindful of not only value in terms of the dollars in our guest pocket, but be mindful of the value of people's time. we have to protect that, and we have to make sure that we're not just continuing to improve the hardware in the park. We have to continue to improve the service that we provide as well. Our demographic is changing. We're getting into the Gen Zs who look at things a little bit more differently than some of our other older employees. So we have to make sure that we're making sure that the hospitality that all of our employees are consistent and delivered according to our brand. From a hardware standpoint, as I said earlier, our guests want something new. They want something that's going to be different when they come back, but they also want things that are going to be the same. So you gotta again find that balance. So if you come to the park, I think you'll notice we took out Raging Rapids last year, which was a tough decision for us, but was made for the right reasons. But if you come now, you'll see a lot of construction going on in that area. So probably going to be something coming there fairly soon. But we will continue to grow with 90 acres of park left to go. I can promise you're going to continue to see growth over the next several years.
And with the appearance of construction assets, are you able to comment on anything that's coming up for the next couple of years that may be coming, that may not be maybe rumored, but something to close out the decade? Maybe it's new attractions, innovations, or even sustainability efforts. Those don't get a lot of flash, but they're still endeavors by parks.
So your question, can I give you a hint about what's coming?
All of it.
I think you probably know the answer to that one. We will release. Did you guys follow when we did Thunderbird? Did you follow our release that we started our 66 Days at Sea, our campaign where we started dropping hints 66 days out of when we announced what the attraction was? We like to do that kind of thing. Again, that's one of our things, is we like to drop hints and keep people guessing. With Good Gravy, people guessed pretty early on like what it was, and we didn't concede. We didn't say, yeah, you're right. We kept dropping hints to say, okay, well, make them think, well, maybe it's not that. We like that. we like to play that little game. But I can guarantee you, it's something that's going to be really awesome, and it's going to be something different than anything we have here.
Before I do a little bit of a thank you outro type thing, is there anything else you'd like to talk about that we didn't probe into with any of our questions? I
think we hit most of the topics that I would want to ensure that people knew about us. We have world-class attractions, both water park and dry park. I'm a huge fan of our water park. We're celebrating a lot of anniversaries this year. You referenced 10 years of Thunderbird. We're also celebrating 25 years of the free unlimited soft drinks, 25 years of the Legend, 30 years of the Raven, 5 years of Cheetah Chase. So looking at all those monumental milestones for each one of these big attractions is a fun year for us. And then next year we'll be celebrating our 80th anniversary. So again, for a family-owned business, we're in our 4th generation of family ownership. Making it that far in any kind of family business is unusual. Making it that far in a family-owned business in the theme park industry is extremely rare. So it's very exciting and neat to see that the Cook family continues that legacy that was built over 80 years ago, and they just we just keep continuing to make it better. So good is never enough for us. We got to constantly strive for great. As actually one of the things that I was telling David too is, I forgot to mention it earlier. As we're planning, new things, it doesn't always have to be a new attraction either. It can also be some kind of new form of entertainment, and that's where Holidays in the Sky came in. So when we started that, we knew we weren't going to build an attraction that year. So I said, okay, well, let's do something in entertainment that is unique and different. And my VP of marketing came in and said, okay, how about if we do a drone show? And my response was like, I've seen drone shows, they're okay. He's like, no, there's this company out of Michigan. He's like, let me show you what they do. And so he brought me some videos of Firefly. It's called Firefly Productions. And the drone show that we have, again, is unique in our own. It's themed, holiday themed. But the drones are in 3D, and so they're in constant movement. So it looks even more awesome than I ever thought that it would. So batting drones, we started off with 300 drones, then we went 400 drones. Now we're at 500 drones. So it's pretty massive in the sky when you watch it. It's like the width of 2 football fields up in the sky. And we follow that up with a fireworks show. So that's every night between the middle of June all the way through July. That's the business we're in. We're in the business to make people happy and make memories. And it doesn't have to be on a roller coaster to make a memory. There's a lot of ways to do that.
I agree.
Sure thing. Well, thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to talk to us here, to talk to the many fans listening all around. Literally such a great time. I learned so much through this conversation. And if you're out there listening and you haven't got the memo already, please try to make sure you get to Holiday World this year. There's so much you can't miss. I'm myself booking my stay at Santa's Cottages as soon as possible. So maybe we'll run into each other at the park one day.
Look me up. If you're out there, ask for me. I'll come find you.
Love it. Thanks for being so generous with your time and with your energy. And we will love to have you back on maybe some other time when Holiday World is undoubtedly in another very exciting place.
Anytime you want me, ask me back. I'll be here.
All right. We thank you, Matt. See you in the park.
Thanks again.
All right. You'll have a great day.
What an interview. Wow. I've never been so excited to visit a park as I am to visit Holiday World right now. And I wonder why.
I agree.
It's almost as if they're a great company or something. I don't know. Looking forward, though, David, who do we have next week on the show?
Of course, schedules can change, but as of right now, and we've had it confirmed for a little while, very excited to bring on probably one of the more significant titles, anyway, that we've had on the podcast in recent memory. But Michael Shelton, who is a vice president and executive director of IAPA North America, will be on next week, and looking very forward to having him on. I've had a handful of conversations with Michael in the past. I've seen him on the show floor at the convention, seen him at the IAPA offices, and it's just going to be. I'm looking forward to this interview. One thing I'll bring up now, and I'll bring up next week. Now, I'm a nobody when it comes to IAPA. No one has any reason to know who I am, but I bumped into Michael at a networking event that IAPA had at Cedar Point last summer. And I introduced myself and had I would say, an unremarkable conversation with him, just very surfacey stuff, I'm sure. And then we parted ways, and that was that. Fast forward a couple months later, that was July, and I think in October, I showed up at the IAPA offices in Orlando for whatever reason it was, and it wasn't there to meet him, as to meet some other people in the lobby. And he came walking through, and he called me by name. I don't remember people's names from 5 minutes ago. And you can ask anybody, and they'll back that up. For anyone to be able to do that just off the cuff, because I'm a nobody to him, really. I'm just a dumb guy from Cincinnati. So some people can do that, and I applaud them for it. And I'm sure that's not because I'm anything significant to them, but because that's just their personality and what they're able to do. So looking forward to having him on.
Yeah, absolutely. And just what a bank of knowledge that's going to be too. I mean, IAPA involved in literally everything. So
I'm sure we could go on for 10 hours for all the stuff that he has, but we'll try to condense it down to an hour or so.
Okay, sounds good. Let us know down below if you would like to see a 10-hour episode. I don't think I could do
it. No, and also comment if there's any question you'd like to ask him.
Yeah, please. And make sure to hit the subscribe so you don't miss that video when it comes out next week. Maybe even hit the notification bell to notice yourself, hey, awesome new episode of my favorite podcast, The Attractions Group, with David and Clete. Maybe I'm going a little too hard on the sell here, but that's all right. We appreciate you listening in, and we will see you here next week.
Boom.